Hey, good morning, everyone. I just realized when I was doing the Road to the Apocalypse kind of weekend ramble, I realized it was Friday, which means it's time to do a Twitter review. We've actually had an exciting week because Build 13 came out. So let's take a look at some of the tweets leading up to Build 13 and then take a look at kind of the Build 13 releases. Last time, I think like the last tweet that we left off with was they had a picture of the lobby. So I know that they're currently developing some of the big buildings, and I still think what would be cool is if they made those tall buildings kind of modular. So when they generate, you might have some that are 5 stories high, some that are 6, just to kind of give it some variety when they put in. That was just me. But later on, then as we progressed in the week, Build 13. So some of these are just the build up to the release of Build 13. So right here says currently Build 13 is currently in testing, a few days until release. And then that's when I started thinking, and I think that was actually Friday when that one came out, was that the Build 13 was on the way. And so I started thinking a Tuesday or Wednesday release. Now they have said, and I'm not going to hold them to a Tuesday, Wednesday release for here on out, but coincidentally, well, let me not spoil it. You already know it's out, but let's watch the tweets here. So then a few days later, I believe the 17th was, when was the 17th? 17th was Monday. So it says quality of life release is coming out within the week. So that's when I started to get really excited. And then on the 19th, so that was Wednesday. Yeah, that was Wednesday. It says here probably, maybe, possibly something tomorrow-ish perhaps. And this actually came out really early on Wednesday morning. So when I saw that, and then I went and looked, and they said, yeah, we're not committing to Tuesday, Wednesday releases, I said, well, okay, maybe it will come out Thursday, maybe come out Friday. And I think some other folks tweeted, well, will it be out for the weekend? And he said, we don't do weekend releases. So I thought, well, it's Wednesday, so, Thursday might sound good. And then later on, Wednesday, the patch notes and the development vlog will be posted on the blog when the update is released. And that was still on Wednesday. And then Wednesday afternoonish sometime, the quality of life Build 13 was released. And then they had the mega video log and patch notes. And let's see, the patch notes here are on the link to the tweet. So I was actually very surprised. I was very happy. Oh, yeah. So it's actually huge. There was actually a lot of stuff they put in. And the thing is, though, like as you just kind of scroll down through here, there's a lot of things that they have on the paper here. Like, wow, there's a lot of things. But when I did my first impressions playthrough, it's a lot of stuff that just it doesn't stand out and say, "Hey, I'm a new feature." Um, Seeing all these patch notes, it's it gives you hope. The game is progressing, but for me, on any game, I judge a patch by how the game plays, not by what they put on paper. Because some of these things they do are tweaks behind the scenes, and they're not things that you immediately see on the screen. Some of them are. I mean, obviously the bicycle you see on the screen, the name when you walk through a zone and they have an area with a randomly generated name. Yeah, there are things you see on the screen, but the feel of the game is what I look for. What feels different? How does the game play now? And I have to admit, some of the things that you don't immediately see on the screen make the game much more enjoyable. Frame rate has improved a lot. It's a lot more stable. The world refresh is much quicker, and the game, when the refresh is done, doesn't have the incredibly horrible frame rate issues like it used to have. So a lot of the things that you don't immediately see on the cover are fixed behind on the engine. It's really nice. And one thing they put in the notes, and I noticed after I read it in the notes, was that zombies generally don't disappear after a world refresh. I know a few times where that's been kind of a cool saving grace, like, I want to go check that out, and as you approach you see just waves of zombies, and then you hit that world refresh, and it's like, yes, because the zombies will disappear. And then sure enough, the world refreshes, it comes back, and there's no zombies there. Well, that doesn't happen anymore. So it's great. A lot of the under the cover mechanics have made the game much more enjoyable. Barricading still needs work. That's I'm always going to complain about barricading because um, that's what I like to do, and it still has issues. And the exploding bales of hay. So Build 13 has brought a lot of really great improvements, but there are still some, no pun intended, lingering issues that still need to be addressed. All right, but there's hope. There's hope. So Build 13 came out on Wednesday. Super excited. Then there was a cool video. This tweet probably came out last night because it said 21 hours ago. So this guy put out a patch notes for Build 13, and there's a link to his video, and I went and watched the video. I didn't watch the whole thing because I'm biased. I'm way better at commenting. I know. Pat me on the back. No, I'm kidding. I did. I watched his video. It pointed out a lot of the stuff. It was a little more thorough than the patch notes, but I get jealous when I see other commenters because I'm like, but I'm a dead Linger commenter, so that's just my vanity. But no, I'll send you his way. Go check out his link. Check it out. It's right here on the main page. Find the twit. What do you call these? The tweet. It's got a link to his video. Go check it out. It covers a lot of the stuff that I covered, that I recognize on my first impressions, and he covers some other things as well. So go check it out. Great stuff there. And then just a couple hours after that one, so 19 hours ago, it says we are currently working on a hotfix for some of the key issues survivors are running into. Stay tuned for information. So some of the things I did encounter when I was looking at the bug threads was either like you're running around and then all of a sudden your screen goes black and all you see are your survivor hands, and they said, well, switch into full screen mode and see if that fixes it. Don't run the game in windowed mode. So there is an issue with that. Well, just like any release, they can't catch every single thing, but they are working on workarounds and some hot fixes now. I don't know if they'll address the exploding bales of hay. Like I heard they've been around. I just haven't seen it to the extent that I've seen it in Build 13. And cruising the forums, myself and other folks have posted videos about the exploding hay. And the only reason why that should even be brought up as a concern is because it goes with the duplicating items bug. That's still there. You might not see as much food duplicating or rifle ammunition duplicating, but the bales of hay, the only reason why that's an issue is if you play like a multiplayer server, that at some point has got to be a huge drain on memory, because the game at some point now has to track every single one of those brand new pieces of baby hay. I don't know what we want to call them. They're bales of hay, babels, babel, hay, and it's rampant. And when you try to run through an area, it now is just this huge obstacle field of bales of hay. I mean, it's really immersion breaking. Fun and cute, but after a while, you got to worry about system resources it takes to track and generate all those bales of hay, and it actually makes that particular part of the map unplayable after a while, because there's just no point to it, because every time you walk through, all these bales of hay keep replicating. And the problem with it is it's like a never ending. If you start with like one bale of hay and you walk through and it pops, then you have two. And then as you play around and come back to it, there's a potential that each of those two bales of hay now are going to pop and maybe spawn two of their own. You see, it's like tribbles from Star Trek. You start with one or two, and then after a while, given enough time, you've got about 1,000 bales of hay floating and shooting through the sky, and it's going to be a real system resource hog. So I as much as I like it and it's fun sometimes, just as a diversion, it really is resource killing, and it needs to be fixed. And if they fix that, I've also seen the same thing happen with the the barricading. And I honestly think that's part of why barricading is broke, is because the pieces, after you nailed them, when they duplicate, because the thing is, what makes the bug interesting is when it duplicates the bale of hay, for example, those two pieces of hay can't occupy the same space, and so when it duplicates, it shoots one or more bales of hay up into the sky like fireworks, and then it shifts the one that they popped out of it, moves it out of the way because they can't occupy the same space. And I think that might be what's happening with some of the barricading materials, because barricading materials, those also duplicate over time. And I'm thinking that if you have some of this stuff nailed up on a structure, at some point when you leave and come back and that piece of barricading material duplicates, it's probably just popping off of the structure it's nailed to, and then because of that violent collision where the two pieces can't exist in the same spot, so when it duplicates, it pushes off whatever item was nailed to your structure, and then both of those pieces are laying on the floor somewhere on the world. So barricading may be fixed, but I think it's the duplicating bug that still kills barricading. That's just a thought. So I only bring that up and talk in length about that simply because they say there's a hotfix coming for certain things. Now, what exactly? Don't know yet, because it says stay tuned for further information. But those were some things I've noticed. So the duplicating hay, which could lead to other issues such as barricading not working properly. So barricading itself could very well be fixed, but it's the duplicating items, I think, that kills it. Okay, so that was something else that people have reported, was the duplicating items. The bicycle has some issues. As good as the bicycle is, myself and some others have noted that when you get onto the bicycle, sometimes you're tilted at an angle. You don't stay straight up and down always. And then after a while of pedaling your bicycle, you start to drift off to a direction, and you have to keep correcting your course of action to stay on a straight line. So some little things like that. So it will be nice to see what hotfixes come. But what's more interesting, I hope they get to a release schedule where they don't have to wait necessarily for a huge build for stuff to come. It'd be nice if they could release small content updates along the way to address bugs and things that they find, which it sounds like a hotfix they will be. But they said when they start to release the new content, the graphics type stuff, not only will there be a build 14 where the focus is on the eye candy, but they might also release some of that eye candy along the way. So that would be cool if they start moving on to small incremental patches, and I think hotfixes will be a good way for them to start that. So I'm going to keep an eye on the hotfix section here, just so I can be informed on what bugs they're going to specifically address, because we still have some issues that have not properly been addressed, even though build 13 fixed a lot of problems. Alright, so look for some more fixes to come. And then like right here it says, if you're encountering the issue where it's only sky, go to graphic settings and switch to windowed full screen. So just, some issues appear that it can be fixed if you just toggle between full screen and windowed screen. So just some things to keep in mind now that it's Friday. Build 13 has finally come. Starting Monday going forward, we're going to keep an eye out for hotfix notes and start tracking what's coming out for build 14. They're probably going to take a little break. Even though the game hasn't released and it's alpha, and at some point they want to have a released product, the fact that they have a game here, this pretty much is almost like a game that's fully released, because they're working very hard to put stuff out. I mean, game development never ends. I mean, look at these guys who finally switched from beta testing their game to a public release. They celebrate, maybe take a day off, and then boom, they're right back to adding content, fixing bugs. So even though the game is an alpha, it's pretty much being treated like a full release. So give themselves a weekend to recuperate from the big build, and then Monday we'll start seeing them really start hitting hard and heavy on these bugs and hot fixes. So all right, well, thank you for checking out the tweets for the week. And I'm going to say, just to clarify something I said before, in my first initial impressions video, I had answered the question if I would still recommend this game as a purchase or not. I'm still kind of torn about that. Part of me wants to say no, don't purchase the game yet, because there's still a few issues that are not resolved that make the game not what I would want it to be at release. I said, like, missing water and the barricading that's broke. And then it's like, well, why did I buy it? Well, I'll tell you, just from the roadmap, the progress they are making, and there's been a lot of things I've read where people are discussing the benefit of early access games and how that's hurting the market, that's killing game development because people buy into a product. Why would you go to a movie and pay $5 to see a movie that is only 20 minutes long, and you say, don't worry, this is the alpha release version, more of the movie is coming later? Well, the thing is, just think about the benefit to you and what it is you're trying to get out of the game. I bought into the game now because, yes, it still very well could be a year, 2 years before this thing quote unquote goes to release and is not an alpha or beta anymore. And then why would you play a game for that long? Well, the thing is, this game is changing, it's growing, and it's going to be different 2 years from now than what it is now. So I could wait 2 years and then play the Dead Linger, or I could just go ahead and play it now, and yeah, maybe 2 years from now I'll be burnt out on it and have moved on to something else, but at least I'm playing it now. Because 2 years from now, if they don't improve much in the way of graphical quality and content and stuff like that, 2 years from now, this could be totally outclassed by something else. And if I wait the 2 years to see how this looks at release, then I never would have played it. Because I'll be like, wow, this so has the year 2014 graphics. How come they're not using Snowdrop or Unreal 4? So I'm getting my enjoyment now. And if 2 years from now, when the game releases and it has all the features and things that I enjoy and I'm part of a community that I like playing with, then it was worth the 2 years of playing up to that point. So do we see a lot of bugs and issues? Yeah, but consider this too, even full release games are full of bugs and issues. Titanfall, I didn't pre-order that. I finally found a game I decided I would wait and not purchase. So I go to the forums for Titanfall, and there's lots of people complaining about bugs and issues there. So even these full AAA release games have problems. So you just have to ask yourself, even though the game's not finished, do I still want to participate? In the movie reference, like some of the things that people said about not buying into an early access, it would be like watching a movie that was only 20 minutes long. But here's some other benefits. When you buy in early, you're paying a partial cost of the finished product, and you get all of the updates for free along the way. And when the game releases, because you've already bought it, you don't have to rebuy the game at the more expensive released price. So really, you're making an investment into your own entertainment future. So when people use that movie reference, like why would you buy a movie ticket to go see a movie that's 20 minutes long, and they say, don't worry, it's the alpha, more movie is coming. Actually, that's pretty cool, because A, I bought my ticket at a reduced price. Then when the movie's fully released, I don't have to pay the full ticket price because I already bought it at a reduced price. But then I get to see all the additional footage added to the movie as the movie progresses. So you kind of have to decide what's your level of interest in participating with the progression of the Dead Linger. For me, even though certain things are broke, I've gone ahead and made that decision to purchase into it. So for those who want to continue asking, hey, is this worth buying? I'm just going to have to say that's entirely up to you and how much you want to participate in the history of the Dead Linger. So I'll leave that up for you to decide. Anyway, have a great weekend, everyone. Bye bye.